Capitol building. It's funnel week, so everything is really busy. But perhaps the only political thing that gets busier during funnel week in the state of Iowa is running for governor, which Zach Lahn knows a little bit about. Zach is running as one of the 5 Republicans seeking the nomination for governor. Zach, how's it going out there?
It's good. It's busy. We're having a lot of fun. We've been traveling the state, building a team, raising money, and just getting ready to kind of in the last 4.5 months of this campaign really turned on.
Yeah. You have gone around the state already on the plane.
Yeah.
Iowa first, is that what we have?
It's under the wings, yep.
Yeah. So you've traveled the state, you've seen some things. What are the things that you're hearing the most about from potential voters?
I think that what I'm hearing about the most is that Iowans are looking for somebody to talk about the big issues that are facing our state. I've really honed our campaign into the 4 big issues that were reasons that I launched. It's keeping our kids in the state. It's saving our family farms and protecting agriculture. It's making our education number 1 in the nation again. And it's solving the cancer crisis in our state. And I find not only are those things that are resonating, but they're resonating with even people that are more moderate. I think they're things that cross party lines. And so I really believe it positions us very well to be successful in the general election as well.
So when you talk about these things, and I was at an event for another candidate last night, and they were talking about some of the similar things, especially in terms of education. Is it kind of weird to campaign as a Republican for governor in a state that's had full Republican control for 10 years? Because it feels like if there's something going wrong, it would be the fault of, well, it wouldn't be the fault of the Democrat. They haven't been in charge of Iowa for a long time. Yeah. Does that complicate like the messaging part of it, or not really?
No, I think I'm an outsider. So I'm not a politician in this race. So when I look at this, I'm looking at the facts of what we're facing as a state. And I'm not actually as concerned with who caused them or what was caused. I'm concerned with how do we solve them? What's the foundational issue? And the interesting thing about many of the issues I'm talking about, look, rural communities in Iowa have been being hauled out for decades. They've also been being hauled out in Nebraska and Missouri and other states. These are regional issues as well that really nobody has been addressing. And a lot of times that they're not addressing them because there is a ton of special interest money that's going in to keep the status quo. And I've been very clear. I'm not looking for that support. I'm here because I want to see our state vibrant again. And we cannot do that, for instance, what we're talking about, without our rural communities and our family farms.
Yeah. So keeping kids in the state of Iowa, what are some ways you would plan to do that?
Yeah. So, I think first thing you have to understand, we're number 4 in the nation for net out-migration of our kids, 25 to 29 with bachelor's degrees. Number 4. So our kids are leaving Iowa at a rate faster than 46 other states. Just to be honest with you, when I'm governor, if I had a whiteboard in my office and I was tracking progress, that would be the number 1 thing I'd be tracking because it will influence all of the other things. So, for instance, our kids aren't going to stay in the state if we're getting cancer at rates faster than our states. Our kids aren't going to get in the state if the taxes are higher. Our kids aren't going to stay in the state if the education system isn't good. And also, our young people not being able to get on farms increases their likelihood to leave the state. And so when I look at the out-migration of our kids, I say, number 1, we've got to look at the core reasons of opportunity because many people want to leave for an adventure in life. I did the same thing. I went out to Colorado Boulder and I ended up coming back home. And that we understand that, but we want them to come back home. So I've said a couple things for that. Number 1, for every kid that leaves, that's $400,000 in revenue to the state that's lost. And that's even besides the cultural traditions like being around family and grandparents and being in our state to make it better. I would like to give bonuses to graduates of Iowa high schools that have moved away to come back home, starting with people that have remote jobs that can come here right now and add into the state. And then also people that are in the trades that can come here and actually provide real value to the communities that they're within. We have to start thinking differently about this. And these are just a few of the ideas that I'm thinking about. There's many others that we'll talk about on the campaign trail, but keeping our kids in the state has got to be at the top of everybody's list.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the cancer rates, the water quality, all that stuff. You obviously are one of the first candidates,
the
first candidate to be endorsed by MAHA. So, talk about that if you want to.
Yeah, I think, number 1, the rate of cancer in Iowa is rising faster than anywhere ever in the history of human civilization. We have a crisis on our hands. We also have the world's largest nitrate removal system on our water supply in Des Moines, Iowa. We have got to start looking at the health and well-being of our people and also understand, as I have said to people, that the same groups that were lying to us during COVID, the same groups that have lied to our farmers about the price of products and are also lying to us about the safety of their products. They're lying to our farmers about the safety of their products. And look, this isn't about banning. This is about getting the truth so we can understand how to use something properly. And if there is a chemical, and there are some chemicals that are very toxic, we need to not have those in our state. And the average well in the state of Iowa has between 6 and 10 agrochemicals in it. This is a crisis of very large proportions. And, I tell people often, look, if we can have very low taxes, and that's a great thing. I'm in favor of that. But if our kids are leaving and our people are dying at a rate faster than other states, we're not winning. And I'm trying to get that message across because there's been a capture by industry that I'm trying to fight against.
So yesterday there was a bill, I think the Iowa Medical Freedom Act, that did not get through committee that I know medical freedom advocates hoped for. They're still 5 years later trying to address the governor's emergency powers being reformed. This is all post-COVID.
Yeah.
I feel like the further away we get from COVID, the less likely we are to implement policies that we should have learned. So what's your message to that medical freedom community? Because obviously you align with them very well. What's your message to them in terms of what your platform, what your policy is on issues like that?
Well, I mean, as you said, number one, we're the first candidate endorsed by the MAHA organization. We've been endorsed by Stand for Health Freedom. My message to them is very simple. Keep fighting. Don't give up. More and more people are waking up to these issues, and they need an avenue and groups that are there to support them. And Governor, I will be on the front line, like with them, out on the steps of the Capitol if I have to be, like saying we have to fix this. Look, I want to limit the governor's emergency powers down to the absolute bare minimum. I would like to push as much of that to counties as I possibly could, because the more decentralized we are in emergency powers, the less opportunity for tyranny there is against our people. So I don't even think that the governor should have, I think the governor should have very few emergency powers at all. And I think we should empower counties to do what's best for the citizens of their county, and people can have say over that.
Doesn't bode well for those of you in Polk County or Johnson County. Well, we could go through a list.
You could move this right across the border.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to move into Illinois.
No.
That would
I
be
mean, the county border.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got the cancer issue. I know that's a big personal one for you. You talked about that. MAHA, keeping kids here in Iowa.
Yeah.
What about, what's your story? Because you grew up here, went away, came back, and now you want to be the executive of the state of Iowa. What was it about Iowa that brought you back?
I think, gosh, now you're getting something deep here. I had a great childhood growing up in Iowa, and I had, a life where I was by both of my grandparents growing up, and I spent time with my cousins out on the farms, and I would travel to Decorah for FCA football camp, and I think when you're growing up in a place, you might not appreciate it that much. I can remember when I was out in Colorado, I was actually running a campaign right after college for a guy running for Congress, and I was out in the Eastern Plains, Colorado, in these small towns, and I'd be in these small towns in the Lincoln Reagan dinners and things like that with him, and all I could think about was, man, I want to go home. Man, I miss home. I just want to be back home. And I think part of, Theodore Roosevelt once said that he intends to be a preaching president. I intend to be the same as governor. I want to tell the story of why it's so important to be an Iowan and to know our Iowa history, to be proud of our Iowa history. I've told some stories in the campaign you've already heard about our history. We have an unbelievably amazing history and story of our state. So for me, it really is. I have an affinity. My wife would actually say, Zach, your love for Iowa borders on strange, because I'm proud of that. But it's like, I really love the state we're in. I love our history. But there's not many people I find that like to read their kids' stories of Iowa heroes at night. I would go into Kinnick biography with my son just because what an amazing Iowan he was. And so I want to help people understand the richness of their history and heritage. And I think that alone, if we can start telling the story better, will help kids want to be in their state and be a part of that story.
You're one of five. So what makes you stand out? Why are you the one?
Yeah, I think, number one, I'm not a politician. I am an outsider. I'm not beholden to anyone. I'm my own biggest donor in this campaign. I'm not going to be bought. But also, I believe I'm the only one that is willing to take these big issues head on. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't say bad things about my opponents, and I'm not planning to say bad things about my opponents. And I've met with some of them, and I think some of them are very great people. But I'm here because I want to share a different vision for the state of Iowa moving forward. One that is not just saying, hey, our property taxes are high. How do we lower property taxes? We need to lower property taxes. But the big question is, why are they so high? What has happened in our state? And a big part of that is what's happened in our state is that we're losing people, especially from our rural communities. We're trying to provide the same or more services with fewer people. We have to grow. And that applies to our rural medical system. It applies to veterans and other services. We need to grow our state to provide more opportunity for the people that are here. And so I'm trying to provide a different vision for that's not just the typical campaign platitudes of here's what you need to do as a Republican. I'm trying to provide a different story.
So without giving away too much, what's the strategy to win this thing?
Without giving away too much. I was meeting with somebody in Des Moines once, and he said it to me like this. What do you need to win? You need a story worth telling, enough money to tell it, and a desire to be present. And I believe we have a story worth telling. We're building the money to be able to tell it. And I love being present at these things. The schedule is really tough when you're doing something like this, especially if you have 7 kids and you're still managing some of the businesses that you do. But this is what's key, is to get this message out to the people of Iowa. So how do we do that? I talked about it at Moms for Liberty debate. Like, look, we have to be able to wage the air war and the mail war and the digital war. That's what I'm focused on right now, is building the funds and the resources to do that. So that'd be one. I also think there's going to be some great opportunities to tell our story to a larger audience. I think Iowans are going to see some of that pretty soon, and I'm really excited for that.
You have an event tonight.
Yeah.
In Des Moines.
Yes, at Jethro's Barbecue, and I believe it's this day's been very busy. I believe it's at 7:00 tonight. But check out our website. It's on the website to find out what time that is. We'd love to see you there.
Yep. Where can people go to learn more about your campaign if they want to get involved? Like, how can they?
Yeah. So we just launched our website, zachlahn.com, ZACHLAHN.com. We're actually launching a couple more assets in there too, so people can learn more about our story and what we're doing. And we've been doing a great team that we have. We have an unbelievable field team, and they're working very hard. So if you sign up on the website, they will be reaching out to you. We'd love to have you on the campaign, and we're here to put Iowa first. That's what we're doing.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
Thanks for all you're doing.
You bet. No
Yep,
problem. Thank you. Good luck.